for being here. I think we have some exciting news to speak to, but I'd like to give us all a little bit of background on what brought us to today. As you remember, during the months of September, October, November, December, I had monthly meetings with the legislative leadership on both sides of the aisle and on both sides of the rotunda. And during those meetings, obviously, as we were going over the budget and the restraints that we were looking at in that budgeting process, we started conceptually talking about different ideas, different things that would be a good idea to look at and start vetting and see what the possibilities were. Well, through those months, and by, I guess it was the month of December, there had been ideas come and go. We had eliminated some ideas that we thought maybe would work, or at least worth investigating, and working with the directors of the departments, and will this work in order to reduce the impact that the different agencies have on the general fund budget. And we eliminated a lot of things very early on. One of the things that we were still considering during the December meeting was what we could maybe do in terms of changing the direction of and the amount of money that the Parks Department takes from the general fund budget. And so we started conceptually looking at some things. Those were some of the comments that were made during the leadership meeting in December. And if you'll recall, it wasn't too long after that, and these were supposed to be sequestered, these were supposed to be not allowed out until we had totally vetted them and said, okay, this is an idea we're prepared to go with. So in December we had a premature, if you will, exposure, and one of them was on the parks. You'll remember there were some other things that were said during speeches that were made, and it was unfortunate because we hadn't totally eliminated the idea, but we hadn't totally bought into the ideas yet, because we still had a lot of things to study and circumstances to go through. So anyway, the whole idea that we were going to eliminate the Parks Department was dead wrong. We never intended to do. The idea that we were going to put it in Fish and Game never crossed our minds. The idea that we were going to see if it would fit in lands was conceptual. But the underlying idea, as with the Parks Department, as with all agencies of state that share in the general fund budget, was to say, how can we minimize your impact on the general fund budget? Because the more money that we can leave in the general fund, the more money we leave in the classroom. And so to that end, not only the Parks Department, but many departments of state, and that information wasn't prematurely released, was asked to see what you can do about minimizing your impact on the general fund budget. And as a result of that, we'll be able to not have to cut some of the more proper role and critical roles of government, like education, like higher education, like health and welfare, like corrections. And so as a result of that, I want you to remember, the end game was, how do we minimize the impact? How can we eliminate or get agencies that do have a standalone opportunity to them to go in that direction? And so that now leads us to Director Merrill's report this morning. And I would now like to turn it over to Nancy, and we'll answer questions later.
Thank you, Governor. I will tell you that it's a privilege to be able to stand here today alongside you and to be able to explain how we as a department can save $4.5 million out of our general fund and to allow those dollars to go back into the classroom. I will tell you that when I met with the governor 2 weeks ago, he was very clear in explaining to me, I have an idea, this is a concept plan, what would you think about this? And would you explore this? Please look at the pros and cons and look for cost efficiencies. And he reiterated that over and over again. This is a concept that we would like to explore. It would include folding the department into the Department of Lands, using the registration part with Fish and Game that already have that system. So with that challenge, we began the process. And we began with our full department and with our board support in evaluating what we do as a department and how we could continue services through our parks, how we could continue doing the things that we do on a day-to-day basis and meet the goals of what the governor asked us to do. That became evident as we looked further and were able to do that, find the pros and cons. Most of that came from our field people, from our staff, from our board members, and others as we look for efficiencies. This has been a statewide effort, and it's been important to understand that it's not a single person that's done this, but it's been statewide within our department. And our board of directors, as we have come up with an alternative plan that we believe will meet the governor's goals. We have two distinct divisions within our department. One is the parks and the other is the recreation arm. It is important to recognize that our recreation arm is fully a dedicated fund. It is used by user fees, and those user fees go directly into building trails and providing recreational opportunities for people across the state of Idaho. That will not change. Those will be protected, and there will be a wall between those user fees and the park fees. As people enjoy recreation more and more outdoors, we realize that that is growing, and we expect to see more projects on the ground from these fees. With our plan, we are proposing that we take $4.5 million out of our general fund, as the governor has asked us to do. We've evaluated what we do from a day-to-day basis and believe that this will be very tough. It will be hard for us to do it, but I am here to tell you that this department can do it, and we will do it. We will use $2 million from RV funds that we have currently, and those RV funds will be directly related to the services that the RVs use today in the parks that have the RV services. So they're not going to be used on anything else except what RV users are using today. And we will use $1.5 million from our cash balances. $1 million of our reduction will come from personnel reductions. And we will have a remaining $1.6 million that's left in the general fund this year that we will reduce ourselves off next year. We will eliminate 25 positions throughout our department. This is very difficult to do. And our services, although will be try to remain the same, the people that are left will have to step up to the plate, will have to do a little more, and work a little harder in order to provide the services that we provide today. They have agreed they will do this, and they want to do this. We will remain in the building that we now have, and we will look at the land that is surrounding that, which is 15 acres, look for an appraiser to look to see if there's some value there that we can also help make up that difference in the building costs. We will also remain as a department. Our results are cost savings to the state of Idaho of $4.5 million, with those cost savings going back into education and to put those dollars back in the classroom as the governor has requested. We'll be running Parks and Recreation different. It's a paradigm shift for us in that we've always been a service department. What we will be doing now is we will be looking at revenues and our costs, and we will be managing to those costs and revenues and expenditures and balancing those as a business would. We are presenting a business plan to the governor. We will have that done shortly with every individual park looking at internally of how they can raise those revenues and reduce costs and make us be a more self-efficient state government department. Our recreational users will not see any reduction in any trail grooming or any emphasis, any reduction in their use. Our wall will remain there. Every challenge offers an opportunity